Welcome back, Norfolk enjoyers. You're listening to the Norfolk and Good podcast. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Steph. This is episode six. Yep, if you discount the bonus episode, which was a bonus.
Wouldn't like to discount it, but yes.
So in the season, it's number 6. And we obviously were looking towards the end of the year. So we thought we would talk about... start to talk about new hobbies, new beginnings, and something which I'm already a big fan of is running in Norfolk.
Yes.
Running in Norfolk. So it doesn't matter whether you're a sort of serious runner and you're out all the time, or a hobbyist, or you're thinking about running. I know lots of people have done the Couch to 5K programme and been bitten by the running bug, as it were, and now they are out there all the time, hitting the pavements and the streets of Norfolk.
I think about it every now and again.
You think about it. Maybe 2022 is the year for you to take up running, Andrew. Andrew's face suggests otherwise. You're more of the support network behind us runners, aren't you?
Yes, I like to be the person who's carrying all the coats and all the bags. And
they're crucial. What's that kind of little car that goes along beside the Tour de France people called? Is it the sport car or something like that?
Car,
That's you, basically, isn't it?
Or a donkey.
So you do get along you have been to a lot of racing runs.
I've been to a lot of races, yes.
You're very familiar with the whole running scene. You just choose not to partake directly with the running.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I think it's good to be a part of that running community, even if you don't run.
Absolutely.
Which is
absolutely.
Really interesting.
There are lots of other roles, particularly volunteer-based roles.
Which I have done.
At the park run things that you can get involved in. So we thought we would talk to somebody who is, we think, a key member of the Norfolk running community.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And also, as you'll learn, the national and global running community. Yeah. And that is Andrew Lane, who is chair of the Norfolk Road Running Committee with Athletics Norfolk.
Excellent.
So we've got Andrew Lane with us today. Hello, Andrew.
Good morning. Hello.
How are you?
Very well, thanks. And I've just been out running, so I'm ready for a nice chat about running.
Oh, you lucky thing.
Good.
Fabulous. Would you mind just sort of introducing yourself to our audience and telling us a bit about what you do and your involvement in running in Norfolk?
Certainly. Well, I'm 65. I've been running for 25 years, so I got into it, in middle age, really, age 40. And I moved to Norfolk 9 years ago, and I've had various involvements, and the main one at the moment, I took over from Richard Polly of Konak as the chair of there's a committee called the Athletics Norfolk Road Running Committee, and it's all the Norfolk clubs sort of collaborating and arranging the race calendar. So that's my main involvement, and also in Park Run, where I'm a regional ambassador for Norfolk for Park Run, and I expect we'll talk a bit about that.
Fabulous. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. So there's so much of interest that I want to speak to you about there. First of all, sort of going through, so you sort of came into running, you mentioned when you were sort of around 40, which, yes, most people, I suppose, to most people that would seem quite late. My questions are, first of all, were you always sporty, and what made you kind of then sort of sidestep into running, as it were? And secondly, that in the last 25 years, you have done some quite incredible things, including a number of marathons, I believe. So tell us about those things. So how did you come into running around then? And then, what you've had some amazing success running since. So it's obviously something that's you're naturally suited to it. Tell us about that.
Well, thanks. Yes, I was always enjoyed sport and interested in sport. And my father was keen. His sport was cricket, cricket and golf actually, and so those were my sports when I was a boy, and football as well.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed them all, but wasn't exceptional at any of them. Which I was better at golf than anything else. I was better with a stationary ball rather than a ball.
Yeah.
So I don't have particularly quick reactions. some friends in London persuaded me to do a 10-mile race. So I did that based on very little training, and I just really enjoyed it. And it was a local club race, like the sort we have in Norfolk. I just loved everything about it, the atmosphere, the sort of nice sort of spirit of it all, the route, everything. And that's what got me started. And yes, so soon after that, so actually I did a race before I really did running, if you see what I mean.
Baptism of fire.
I wasn't a regular runner. And then with these friends, we then did a half marathon, and then we decided, let's go for a marathon.
As you do.
As you do. And so I ended up running the New York Marathon.
Oh, right.
Fabulous.
And that was fantastic and a great experience. And that was just after my 40th birthday. And then I just got really hooked on marathons. And in fact, I've just done my 50th one 25 years later.
Oh, wow.
Which I know it sounds extreme in one way, but it's 2 a year, so it's sort of spring and autumn typically. So and I've just really enjoyed it, and I felt so lucky that at the age of 40, having done all these other sports, continuously through my life, to find the one that I liked the most and turned out to be best at, and just something about the leg muscle or stamina or heart, who knows, but so it's been an absolute pleasure.
Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing. It's so great about the 50 marathons is amazing.
That's amazing. Which was the 50th marathon, by the way?
I did Athens, which was where the marathon came from in the first place. So the route does go from the village of Marathon to the city of Athens.
Oh my goodness!
And that turned out rather nicely as the 50th one, the kind of symbolism of where it all started.
How fitting! Oh, that's absolutely amazing! Wow, well done.
It was a lovely one to do, and it finished, and they restarted the Olympics. They refer to them as the modern Olympics in 1896. They've been dormant for almost 2,000 years. So they got revived in Athens, and they built a new stadium in 1896, and they held lots of the events there, and they also had the marathon finishing there. So now every year the Athens Marathon does finish in that stadium, and they used it when Athens hosted the Olympics in 2004.
That's absolutely amazing.
That's absolutely fabulous.
And so our race finished there, and that was great.
And was it the first time you've done that marathon, Andrew?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So,
were you really emotional when running into the kind of... Were you really emotional finishing there? I think I'd have been really emotional.
Well, and to be, I know it's a nice story to say, tears were running down my cheeks, but they weren't actually. No, it was a nice feeling. It was really nice because there were quite a lot of crowds in there. I do feel it's slightly emotional finish of every marathon because you
just run a marathon.
Realise, gosh, I do feel tired, and not glad but
True.
There is a bit of masochism to it all. I appreciate.
Wonderful masochism though. I think the feeling of euphoria at the end is such an incredible high. There's nothing like it.
Oh, it is, and that's why I still enjoy it. And I do say to people, I mean, if you've been able to do the training, then and have been able to keep fit, then actually the first half of a marathon is almost the easiest race you ever do because you're running within yourself.
Yes.
And then but it just gradually gets cranked up, and then of course the last 5 or 6 miles are probably the toughest race that we ever do.
Yeah, I think from 20 onwards. So I have to confess, so I'm sort of 49 marathons behind you. I've done one.
Come on, Steph.
I know, it's pathetic, isn't it? But however, I've got a few years left to catch up with you. So you've given me hope, actually. So, but I would concur. I would say that the first half in the marathon was actually joyful, because by that time, if you've done your training, the half is actually not an easily attainable distance, but it's comfortable. And then probably up to 20 you're okay, and then at 20 it's really the knowledge you're nearly finished. It's something that's keeping you going, I think.
Which one was yours, Steph?
In London. I did London in 2005, so a few years ago. Yeah.
Well, that's one more than probably 90% of the population.
I was due to do.
Fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I was due to do my second last year. I was going to do the Mammoth Marathon up on the Norfolk coast.
Oh, yeah.
But obviously it was cancelled, and then it just kind of kept being rescheduled. And what I was a bit concerned about was because I was already well into my training when COVID struck, and that was quite hard to become locked down suddenly, having done lots of distance running out and about. And I was a bit concerned that I'd have to keep stepping up my training only to have it cancelled and rescheduled. So in the end, I actually withdrew my place. Yeah. But I would like to do another one when things settle down and there's more of a guarantee. What I don't want to do is sort of invest all that time and all the training, and then you kind of don't get to do it almost. So because it is such a labour of love and time. So but you've inspired me actually, because I was sort of thinking I might not ever do another one, but actually age is no barrier.
Well, there is the Mammoth one, but there's also a really good one which is local, and although it is just over the border, half of it's in Norfolk, which is the Bungee Marathon. And I've done that twice. I've really enjoyed that, and it's put on by the club, and there are probably only 150 runners. It's in April, so I really recommend that one.
Yeah, okay, I might take a look at that. Is it largely on road, or is it sort of?
There's the last little bit is on a footpath, but it's basically a road one.
Is it flat?
I couldn't claim it was completely flat. The last bit's flat.
Now, Andrew, you mentioned the fabulous movement that is parkrun. How did you get involved in parkrun yourself?
Well, of all the things I've done in my life, I mean, it's right up there with the most sort of enjoyable and in a way accidental, because the person who started it, called Paul Fenton Hewitt, at one stage he was in the same running club as me, and this was when I lived in London before I moved to Norfolk. Yeah. And he was in my club for a bit, and I knew him there, and then he actually moved to another club, but I still knew him as a friend, and used to run with him occasionally. And he was planning it for a long time. I mean, a couple of years. He organised a similar kind of event in South Africa when he lived there. Yeah. And which was, he called it a time trial, where he and a group of friends just timed themselves over 5K every Saturday. Mm-hmm. So the idea existed there, but it was just a kind of private thing. And so he developed it here, and he identified Bushy Park, which is in Teddington, southwest London, as the venue for it. And so my involvement was my club then as the Stragglers, and I just encouraged people from my club to come along, because I thought, Paul starting this, it's a completely new thing, who knows how it will go, but let's encourage people to do it. So on day one, it was October 2004, so he'd been publicising it for ages, so no one knew what would happen, and turned up in Bushy Park. Well, despite my telling everyone in our running club it was a good thing to do, I was the only member of the club who turned up on the morning, and also there were only 13 people there.
Oh, right.
And I thought that was a pathetic turnout. I thought, I thought you'd get well over 50 at least. So although now, all these years later, that we have a rather comic celebrity. We're called the Parkrun Pioneers. There's sort of 13 runners and 5 volunteers who were there for the first day. Wow. And there's a great couple of photos of us standing around looking at the ground and looking at our watches.
Yes, I've seen those. So
the fact that there were only 13 has given us a kind of scarcity value, which is rather nice. So that was my involvement. So I was there,
at the beginning
when it all started.
Yeah, wow.
And my day job, I accountant, although I've now retired, and a couple of years later, I was a regular runner there, but not one of the organisers. And then Paul persuaded me to get involved helping with the accounts. After a couple of years, and I did that for a bit, and I became a director of Parkrun and non-executive director, and then did that for quite a number of years, including after I moved up to Norfolk. So I've been part of the management of it for, much of its history, but stopped a couple of years ago. But also I'm then, as I mentioned, I'm still a volunteer and have this coordinating role in Norfolk for existing park runs and also new ones. So it has been just a great thing to be involved with. I've enjoyed it so much.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we're massive fans of Parkrun here. So, and now just sort of to give our listeners, I suppose, an idea of how things have evolved since that fateful day in Bushy Park when lucky for some 13 of you turned up. How many do you have a sort of an idea of how many park runners there are now globally?
Before the pandemic, the numbers were up to it was about 250,000 runners every week.
Wow!
And that's in about 25 countries.
It's unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah.
From that morning in Bushy Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And what is funny about it, and I said the whole thing's been a bit accidental, is that Paul, who started it, he had no grand plans for it at all. I mean, it wasn't right. This is the first one sowing the seed.
Yeah.
He just wanted, and in fact, he was injured at the time and hadn't been at his running club, and he partly wanted, an event that got his running friends back together again.
Oh, right.
And the other aspect of it, it wasn't the second one didn't happen for about 2.5 years, and it wasn't even Paul who thought that was a good idea. There was another guy called Jim Desmond, who's a good friend of mine, who had the idea to do one in Wimbledon Common, which is a few miles from Bushy Park. Mm-hmm. And so he got that one off the ground. And then, and I can remember this at the time, gradually, it did take on a life of its own. And the early days were very much individual, sort of almost friends of the family, as it were, who said, I think we could have one here. And there was one in Richmond Park, another local one quite early. And I remember being quite surprised and impressed. I think in the second year they had a parkrun Christmas party for all volunteers, and I thought, I hadn't quite realised that it had that degree of almost social cohesion. And but of course, one of the great things that we all love about it is that that there is a great sort of social aspect of volunteers and runners, and the having the coffee in the Eaton Park Cafe after the Norwich Park Run, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So it really did create a whole lot of parkrun communities.
A community,
definitely, yeah.
Absolutely.
And so those are the numbers worldwide, and I think in this country, I think I'm right in saying that the total, with juniors as well, because you'll be aware that there are a lot of junior ones coming on the scene on Sunday morning. I think in this country the number of events is now close to 1,000. Something like 700 on a Saturday, the 5K, and then the juniors as well. And that has been, it is such a pleasure to see some new ones get started, like new babies being born.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued, who decided on the 9 a.m. start for the parkrun?
Yeah, we read something about this, Andrew.
You've heard this one. Yes, this is, I absolutely take the credit for this.
Thank goodness.
I remember I mentioned that I ran with Paul once or twice when he was telling me about this, and it was a month or two before it was due to start, and it started in October. And he said he was going to have it at 8 o'clock. And I said, oh, Paul, I said, this is England, and this is autumn, and this might be fine in South Africa, but in a rather different climate. But I said, I really think if it's 8 o'clock, you will not get people to come to it.
Yeah.
So he reflected a bit and decided to go for 9 o'clock, and so yes, I will say.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Well, full credit to you, because honestly, it's hard enough getting there for 9. So 8 o'clock would be even more difficult.
In fact, I mean, actually, one of the great things about it is that it is early. I mean, if it was 10 or 11 o'clock, I don't think it'd be anything like as successful. I think a lot of parks wouldn't have given permission because they'd be busier, and a lot of people would be underway with other things in their day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the lovely thing is, most people have a park run, pretty close to where they live these days. So you can have done it, and you can practically be home and ready to do something else.
I like that. So you've sort of you've had to get up, and you're out there for 9 o'clock, and then you got the rest of the day ahead of you.
Absolutely, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I think any later, it's the perfect time, because it's like you say, it's not as early as 8, but it's late. It's early enough so that you still have a full day ahead of you, and you've done a lovely run in the morning. So it's a great start to the weekend. Everything about it's it's sort of really perfect in my opinion. So I'm going to ask you a bit more about the Norfolk park runs, because I've done a few, and we've been we've done a lot of the junior park runs with our sons who both are really sporty, and really, really big fans, as we've said before, of park run. I love everything about it. So there are quite a few Norfolk park runs now, aren't there?
Yes. Well, it's getting close to 20 on Saturdays.
Oh,
wow.
And there've been 3 new ones since the end of all the lockdowns. So for people, I know there are people, including me, who like to collect them and do them all. Well, I suddenly find there are 3 that I haven't done.
gosh, where are they?
Well, the new ones are, there's one at Flake High School over towards Yarmouth. And that's a lovely example where we have a few of those. There's one at Swaffham in school playing fields as well, and there should be one at Downham Market soon. And this is one where the school comes along and says, we've got the facilities, we'd like to have one here.
Fabulous.
And that's really nice.
Yeah.
And then that's one of the 3. Another one is the Harleston Magpies Park Run. And they are the hockey club in Harleston.
They are, aren't they?
They came forward, and they would be happy to host a park run at their ground. And then we also had one that started at Sandringham in the country park there.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I'd like to do that one. Lovely.
So those are the 3 ones that we've had since the summer, and it's lovely that still coming off the production line.
Yeah.
And in junior world, where the next new one will be at Blickling. So we already have a Saturday one at Blickling, and there's going to be a junior one then as well in the new year.
Oh, that's wonderful. And have you managed to? So have you done them all, Andrew? Not the junior ones,
I
obviously.
haven't done the 3 new ones. I've done all the others in Norfolk.
Cool.
Okay.
Wow.
Which is your favourite course? Forgetting the 3 new ones, which is your favourite course so far, and why?
In Norfolk?
Yes, in Norfolk. Let's stick with Norfolk first.
Well, it's in parkrun world, they try not to have favourites. It implies that some are
we won't tell anybody.
So I'm on really dangerous ground if I'm talking about.
Okay, well, don't feel obliged if you don't want to.
No, but I'll stick my neck out, and the one that outside on this is at Holcombe, and that's for a couple of reasons. I have a very soft spot for it because it was the first one that I was personally involved in helping to organise and train people and get off the ground.
Right, yeah.
So it's I was involved in getting them going. But it's also a stunningly beautiful one in the grounds at Holcombe, and it's a one-lap course. And there are not that many one-lap ones. There are some others, but it's more typical to be 2 or 3. So I think I'll put that one as the top of the list.
I think it's okay. I think it's okay to have favourites in certain, because the other thing is that what I find about the courses, I haven't done all of the ones in Norfolk, but they differ so vastly in terms of terrain and location and views and all that kind of thing, that you can like different courses for different reasons. So, you've got now in Norwich, the ones I tend to do, Norwich at Eaton Park and the Colney one. And I like them both for different reasons. Norwich, the Eaton Park one is flat and fast, and the Colney one is much more like a cross-country experience. But it's sort of, and then you've got the coastal ones with sort of, unbelievable views at Sheringham Park, or for example. So I think it's okay to like each one for its merit, Andrew. Yeah. I think you're all right.
You're quite right, and that's one of the beauties of it, sort of worldwide. There are so many different types of course, and I've now just before the lockdown, I've now run over 100 different events.
Oh wow!
And that was a nice sort of milestone to get to.
Fabulous.
And they are, just the variety of place and terrain and view and everything. But what's lovely is that it's the same but different. So we have some friends in Tasmania and went for a holiday there a few years ago. So of course I had to go and do a park run there. And
how fun!
And then you go and you find the briefing is virtually identical.
Yeah.
And the familiarity of marshals and the roles and everything, and it's the other side of the world. And we talked about emotion with marathons, and actually I do sometimes feel a little bit of sort of emotion when I an example like that, where I think back to Bushy Park and the 13 of us, and I'm then standing in Tasmania and think, wow, that this is what it's become.
That is incredible. I mean, that is really, really incredible. And I also know what you mean about the different but same. You can pretty much go anywhere on holiday, and if it covers a Saturday and you've got a pair of running trainers, you can pretty much find a park run to join. And like you say, it's a familiar community, even though it might be in a different country. And there are and it's always welcoming. And, you know the format's going to be there, and it's one you recognise, even if the course is different. And I think, absolutely, that's very much part of its appeal.
Isn't it?
It's fantastic. Now, am I right in thinking, talking back about the Norwich Junior Park, the Norfolk Junior Park Run? So we've done a few of those, and I love Park Run, but I don't know, possibly even like the Junior Park Run movement more, because that's where a love of sport begins in youth often, and what I really love is seeing how hard the youngsters try. Their determination and grit is amazing, and I love seeing the parents that run with them and give them encouragement and all that positive motivation. It's just so unbelievably positive. Am I right in thinking you helped set the first Junior Park Run up in Norwich, in Norfolk?
Yes, that's right. Because when I mentioned I moved up from London 9 years ago, and as I thought and I got involved in parkrun to the extent of, I started running them all, of course, and then visiting different ones. And at the time, and there were several new Saturday ones coming up, but it all seemed, there were plenty of people on the case and getting involved in that. But juniors at this point hadn't yet really got going around the country, but there was quite a big push in the parkrun world to try and get more events for juniors. So I then thought, there's nothing in Norfolk yet, so why don't I try and help get that off the ground? So I talked to a few people, and then we put out some messages, social media and other channels, and then we gathered, a group of 6 people, including me, who became the core team for the first junior one, which was in Eaton Park in 2015. And what was nice about it, I didn't know any of the other five, so they all came as the parkrun enthusiasts, and and have become very good friends.
Lovely.
So it was really nice to do that. And yes, and then I was the event director for the first year of that, and then handed it on to others.
And it's been successful, hasn't it? We see lots of. You mentioned that there've been a few new junior park runs as well, and that's a sort of ever expanding variety as well, I suppose, isn't it? Of locations. There are several in Norfolk now, aren't there?
Well, there are sort of half a dozen, and that's been great. And actually, that was another lovely moment. The first day of the junior park run in Eaton Park, and we didn't know how many would come along. We'd had a rehearsal, and the rehearsal had all been quite orderly. But on the day, we had over 200, and it was pretty chaotic, really. And we hadn't got all the organisation quite right, and the finish funnel was. We sort of see there's some very orderly finish funnels around it, especially in the Norwich Park run on a Saturday. But this one, of course, the children, had most of them no idea what was going on, and they crossed the line, and people were heading in all directions. Parents nipping in, so getting the results organised was not easy. But the feeling, and that was not very important. It was just lovely that so many people came to it.
Yeah.
We had such warm, lovely atmosphere, and it's carried on being brilliant ever since. And then some other ones coming along as well.
Yeah, and it's really it seems to be growing, and it seems to be very well loved and well attended. Even on days when it's absolutely chucking it down, there'll be a hardy few, and it's so nice to see. It's great to see grown-ups doing the running, but when you see the kids coming out there as well, especially in this day and age when there are so many potential distractions, and they really enjoy it, and the pride that that you can see it on their face. It doesn't matter. Well, as with the whole of the park run, it doesn't matter where you finish or how fast the fact that they've got out of bed on a Sunday morning to go and do it, and they just, you can see they feel so proud. It's lovely.
Yeah, and they see their friends there sometimes, don't they?
Yeah.
Which is great. Our boys.
But the other interesting thing, and one we wouldn't have predicted really, was the spin-off into adult fitness, because as you know, parents or carers or anyone else can run with children, and to start with, we didn't really know if people would want to do that, and in the early days, not very many did, apart from the very youngest, when age 4 is the minimum. But what has happened over the years is that gradually more parents have done it, and there's no doubt that it's been for quite a lot of people, a sort of route back into fitness, or into fitness for the first time for some adults who started running because their children went to the junior park run, and they've then taken it up themselves.
So Andrew, it's official. We've entered the festive season. Now. So can you tell us about what's happening with park runs sort of Christmas time?
Yeah, Christmas Day park runs.
Yes. Well, because this year Christmas Day is a Saturday, so we're all a bit deprived really, because most years you get a bonus extra park run, so you can run. If it's in the middle of the week, you get a Christmas Day run and your normal Saturday. So this year, of course, it's not like that, but quite a few events in Norfolk, and we don't yet have the final declarations, but quite a few are doing a Christmas park run, because the volunteer team, they're not required to, so some of them will choose to cancel then and New Year's Day. But quite a few are doing it. So, for example, Coney Lane and as usual in Eaton Park, they're both having a Christmas Day park run, and I really encourage everyone to go and do those. I mean, they're just such fun.
Yes,
they're wonderful, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tradition for us. So I'm really excited that after last year, when there was none, there are more than ever this year for people to choose from. And actually, I know what you mean about being sort of cheated out of an extra run, but I actually think it's great that they're falling, that the Christmas Day and New Year's Day fall on Saturday, because it means that the more park runs are choosing to do the Christmas and the New Year's Day, so there's more options. So I think this year we're going to try the Coney one. Normally we do the Eton Park, but we're going to try a bit of off-road for Christmas Day this year. But they're such fun. Everyone dresses up, and it's really festive, and you see all your friends on Christmas morning. I'm absolutely with you there. I'd encourage everyone. And of course, one thing which we haven't actually really mentioned, but for people that aren't really familiar with parkrun, is that this is all free. So you can just register and then turn up and participate. And apart from the trainers on your feet and the rest of your outfit, I suppose, you haven't had to pay anything. So it's fantastic.
Well, that's right. And I mentioned I've been involved over the years as a director of parkrun, and there have been some quite sort of tricky and hair-raising moments, actually, from a financial point of view. Because to start with, Paul Cinder more or less, just financed it himself. It was on his laptop, and he developed a database and that sort of thing. And then gradually they realised as it grew they needed to get money, and decided very early on they weren't going to charge park runners for it. So it needed sponsorship. Yeah. And there have been some tricky moments where there didn't seem to be enough sponsorship, because it grew much faster than we all expected.
Of course, yeah.
So although I mentioned it was slow in the first few years, once it really got underway around, 2009, 10, 11 onwards, the rate of growth was so rapid that the costs of putting it on, which is the staff team and everything else, they were outstripping the income at one point. Because the income comes from sponsors like Vitality and others, who are the ones who put up money, because they think an association with parkrun will be beneficial to them. And we're very grateful that they do.
Which it probably is, it's such a vastly great movement.
The sponsors have sort of come and gone over the years, and I think, people may choose to do it for a 3-year contract and then think, okay, we'll do something else. But it's now, and then we were worried with the pandemic and how that would work, because would sponsors withdrew, but I'm glad to say that they were, that they stayed with parkrun, and parkrun's in a good state financially.
Oh, that's good. I was going to say you're obviously the very best place to assess that, because you've been heavily involved with the finances, like you said, from the beginning. So, I'm really pleased to hear that. And if for people who are new to running or parkrun, have you got any kind of tips if you want to sort of participate in parkrun, or if or just kind of general advice or tips for people who are perhaps thinking about doing it, or new to it, or have never done it before?
Yeah, well, and we've talked more about parkrun, and we haven't talked much about the other running scene in Norfolk, which is on all the running clubs, which really is the heart of it. There is so much going on there, and actually I would say to anyone new to running who wants to, I would say find a club or group of runners, as early as possible, because it's yes, and most of us do some of our running on our own. We do quite a lot, and many do most of our running on our own. But I think for getting new into the sport and getting fitter and getting better and so on, I think there's no substitute for being around other runners and getting advice from people who have done it before. And the running clubs, Norfolk is really fortunate actually, and I don't know if everyone realises quite how fortunate it is compared to where I lived in southwest London, and there were some good running clubs there, but actually I would say that the quality of running clubs in Norfolk is better than what I was used to there. And what I mean by that is I think they're more organised, they tend to have more coaches, with therefore more organised sessions, and then also a really good series of races that are put on round the county. And we have a thing called the Grand Prix, which is sponsored by Sportlink, and that, so I really recommend those
Absolutely.
And I say they're running groups. I mean, what's been interesting, I mean, I know running clubs aren't for everyone, and they mostly, they're evening meetings during the week, which won't suit everyone. But there are other sort of just more social groups of runners. There's some in Norwich, where I am in Wyndham. There's a nice group of sort of social runners, as well as our Wyndham club.
Yeah.
So I would just say to people, as I say, find a group of people that you enjoy running with.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. Actually, yeah, I think you're right. And this was one of the reasons we wanted to dedicate an entire episode of the podcast to running. Is there does seem to be a really strong running community in Norfolk, and I'm not sure if it's the same everywhere else, but it's certainly very alive and very vibrant and very community focused here.
It is, and I think it is better than in some other parts of the country, and I don't know quite why that is, but I think, well, one aspect I mentioned right at the beginning, and we really do sort of coordinate things well between the running clubs. So we don't see ourselves in just competition for, poaching members from each other or who can have the most. So we genuinely collaborate. So a good example of this is when we meet, we share our experience of putting on races. And we do things like we talk to each other about, well, which medical supplier did you use and what were they like, and have you got any advice? Things like road closures, what do you need to do, how to get enough volunteers if you're short. So we try and share best practice, and that's something been going on for a few years now, and I think that has been really helpful and means that when people go and do a race put on by one of the Norfolk running clubs, they can be very sure that it will be, well organised.
Oh, that's a lovely thing
to
say.
They always seem really well organised.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. I think that collaboration and cohesion, like you say, is absolutely, it's so important. And no, that's a really wonderful thing to hear, Andrew. We focus a lot on Parkrun, but there are lots of other local races. Yeah. What are your other, outside Parkrun, what are your favourite local races then, Andrew, in the calendar?
I think if I've just entered this week, there's there are a good half a dozen good 10Ks around the county, and the one I personally like the most, it's one put on by the Norfolk Gazelles, who are based in Norwich, and they have a really excellent 10K, called the Valentine's 10K in February each year, run from Eastern College. So I've just entered that this week, and I've done it a few times. So that's my favourite 10K.
Yeah.
And then there are various ones at all distances. There's some 5Ks, 10 miles, half marathon, and there's a really good, several good half marathons, but my favourite one is the Wissy half marathon put on by Riston Runners in September. I could list a whole lot more, but there's a couple to be carrying on with.
Fabulous. And where can we find out details about all of the sort of local races like that?
They are, maybe we don't publicise as well as we ought to. I mean, the running clubs are all good at publicising them, and there's Athletics Norfolk has a website, and that's worth just Googling Athletics Norfolk, and you'll find the fixture list. We show the fixture list there, and it's in several places on Facebook. There is a group called Run Anglia, and you'll find links to it there.
Fabulous.
And then the individual clubs, that do their own publicity for their races.
Sure, fantastic. Yes, I've signed up to do the Norfolk Cross Country at Earlham Park in January, which is going to be a bit of a shock to my system because I haven't done cross country for a long time. But I thought it's on my doorstep. I've signed up both my sons. What excuse have I got not to? So I thought I'd give it a go.
Well, that's good to hear. The Norfolk Cross Country is a really good event, and there's also a very good. Well, there are lots of cross countries going on. Actually, we haven't talked about that, but there's a very good cross country scene in Norfolk, and there are several clubs that put on series of races. And
Okay.
And that's just organised by some volunteers. You can find it on the EACCL, East Anglia Cross Country League, the midweek. And they're really nice routes. And when I first started running, I thought I'd limit myself to roads, and that's predictable and so on. I thought, but I got my arm twisted gently by people in my running club, so I gave the cross country a try, and I've really enjoyed it. And it's really good for people's running because you forget about the watch for the time being. You focus on other runners, on the terrain, and on how you're feeling.
Yes.
And it's very good for sort of leg strengthening, running on softer surface.
Yes, yeah.
And there's huge variety. I mean, we've got some great courses, including several on the beach, which is nice in Norfolk.
Good, yeah.
And some good muddy courses as well. But there are lots of good ones to do.
What are your sort of future plans or aims for 2022 with regard to your running in Norfolk, Andrew?
It's a bit more of the same, except because of the pandemic, we've really lost the best part of 2 years of normal activities and races.
Yeah.
And we're very conscious, some running clubs, I mentioned, all the local clubs most of them put on 1 or 2 races a year. And part of it is it helps the finances. They don't make huge profits out of it, but they make a bit of a surplus, which enables a club to sort of keep all its other activities going, and sometimes to help get new runners into the club and so on. And of course, they've had 2 years without that, so we want to encourage lots of people to support all the running clubs in the coming year. So my aim is fairly straightforward. I just want to get back to running quite a lot of the local races.
As we're a podcast all about Norfolk, Andrew, we'd like to know what are your favourite things about Norfolk, and what do you like to do in Norfolk?
Yeah, non-running things.
Yeah, non-running.
What are your favourite, when you're not running, what do you like to do in Norfolk?
Indeed. I mentioned I only moved up here 9 years ago, so I'm still quite a newcomer. And that was because I met the person who became my second wife, and that's why I moved up here. So it was for very nice, for happy reasons, that I relocated. And I didn't know the county before very much. I'd not often been here. But what I like most, I like the different parts of the coastline and various parts of it, because we live in Wymondham, and there are several. If you drew a radius of 1 hour in a car, that would include quite a lot of the Norfolk coastline.
Definitely.
And there are stuff that I always, as a young boy, I absolutely loved going to the seaside, and all our early family holidays were in either Wales or Scotland, with lovely beaches, terrible weather, but really nice sandy beaches for sandcastles, all that good stuff. And I like that in Norfolk, and so the closest spot to us actually is the East Coast, and we like going to Galston. And I first got to know Galston because of going to the park run there. Because actually it was the first park run in Norfolk, in fact. And
was it?
Yes, it was earlier than the Norwich one.
Oh, wow. Really? I didn't know that.
Yes. Huh. And it is a fantastic one. It's a really good run on the promenade. So that's how I got to know Galston, and then since then, quite often gone there either for walks or with children in the family to head for the beach there.
Yes.
So I like those, but then I also like all the North Norfolk beaches and the places like Brancaster. I think just stunning beaches. Some of the best I've ever been on, and even and it is warm enough to swim. So bit of bee swimming, and we have a first grandchild, and it was lovely this summer to be her first steps in the sea, age 1 on the beaches at Brancaster and elsewhere. days in England. I never tire of just being in there and walking around the centre or walking along the river.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, no, we absolutely concur, definitely. Andrew. We can completely, we absolutely love visiting those. Gorston as well. We rediscovered it through the junior park run. Which we took the kids along to, and on a nice day when we've run it in the summer, or they've run it in the summer, we stay behind and go to the beach afterwards, which is really good. So it's I think it's a really lovely part of the country, and absolutely with you on North Norfolk as well. Thank you ever so much for your time today. Giving us absolutely loads to think about, and I think based on what you've said today, if anyone out there is thinking about taking up a new hobby for 2022, then they won't go far wrong with running, and they'll be well supported in Norfolk.
Definitely.
Indeed. All right. Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Well, that was fascinating. It certainly inspired me to look into a few more races next year.
Yeah, it's very inspiring indeed, actually.
Are you more motivated now, do you think?
Yeah, I am actually.
He's very inspiring, but very inspiring person. I should say also that we have actually got our friend and also big fan of running, Joe Phillips.
Yes.
To thank for setting up that interview with Andrew.
Definitely.
So thank you, Joe, if you're listening.
Thank you very much.
If you want to get involved in running, obviously you're in Norfolk. You're in the right place. Obviously, there are other running clubs, so if you're listening to this further afield than Norfolk, then we would recommend that you sort of seek out your local park runs or local running clubs if it's something you fancy. Yeah, you don't have to be fast, you don't have to be flash. It's actually one of the cheapest sports to do,
I'm
really.
neither of those. But no, it's really good. I may be interested in getting out there. I think I would start with park run.
Yes, it's a nice thing to do, and it's not, you don't have to commit on a regular basis, and it's obviously free and that kind of thing as well. So nice and relaxed. But I've known people that have really poo-pooed running and said it's not for them, and then I've actually seen them out, and they've told me that they started doing it, and it just got them. It got under their skin, and then they became complete converts. Yeah. And I've also seen that happen with people that have done things like the Couch to 5K fitness plan that you can do on an app or whatever, and they've become, they never ran. A lot of them came to it later in life, and then they started, and they found that sort of over a certain point they just started to love it. And once it gets under your skin, so even if you think perhaps running isn't for you, then maybe give it a try and just check.
Definitely.
And I think certainly it's a great way to see Norfolk, isn't it? I think
a lot
of runners say that actually. It's a really great place. It's a great way to explore the streets and trails and tracks of the place where you live.
Yeah, and off the beaten track as well. Sometimes with some of the runs.
There are some fantastic courses off road as well. So. Yeah, so we hope you've been inspired to maybe give it a go. We will be back with another episode in a couple of weeks. I think it might be our last one before Christmas. I think it will be, won't it?
It will, yeah. So take a little festive break. Obviously we've got the Christmas park run to do.
Indeed, Christmas park run on Christmas Day, which we're very much looking forward to. And we've got a few other festive things between now and then. We're going to see the lights at Sandringham next week.
We are.
Which will be really exciting.
We've already seen the lights at Blickling. Yes, they were wonderful.
They were really wonderful. So we hope whatever you're doing out and about, festive or otherwise, you take care, stay well, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.